I really looked a little deeper into the real estate industry, and I feel, what is the point? I mean, at the end of the day, we are business owners. And as business owners, we cannot wait to make wealth just by waiting for the time when this wealth is going to multiply by itself. The whole idea or the objective of doing a business is that we need to do the maximum about it right now. And for that, in order to be able to achieve that, it really requires that we think a little bigger and not just wait for the timing or some other external factors to make the business happen. So, while that is one side of the thing, another factor that I see as an editor is that the brokers industry, Mr. Sandeep is here, Ravi is here. There is such big opportunity which has come into real estate in the last few years that primary market has become one of the biggest market for the broking community. And I always used to think, the secondary market is one of the biggest opportunities that the brokers have. So maybe, probably as time evolves, at some level we need to go back to the grassroots and really see what the business is, whether it is for the brokers community or for the developers, which Mr. Jain is representing here today. I feel that we need to really see what business changes would need to come, or what the way we need to do our business probably needs to be re-looked a little bit. So, with that thought, I kind of decided to put together this panel and see what best practices. Mr. Jain is known to bring change in the industry. He's pushed the government, he's pushed the industry members to think a change, which is really what the way Franchise India also thinks. We're really change catalysts, and we've always been instituting change in various ways. And this whole panel is also constituted with the same thought. So, Mr. Jain, firstly, I'll ask you, how do you think the Western market has really changed in the last few years? What has the opportunity which has evolved in a bigger way going forward? And what do you think needs to change with the developers as from the practice point of view to make the most of the opportunity that exists with us? The opportunity is really huge, let's agree. But we need to probably change the way we're doing the business. And how do you see that happening? One, and what do you think is the bigger opportunity that will come in the Western market?
Ritu, the IT revolution actually changed the way business is done across the country. The services industry grew at rapid pace, and now we are talking of service industry taking over manufacturing in this country. Probably has already taken over and is going to take a major share of the GDP. Obviously, white collar got more importance, and real estate definitely got a booster because the spending capacity is higher. So Western India, or we will say 7 regions in this country, really took best advantage of this changing scenario. And Bombay being the financial hub, obviously would see a huge upside and potential to grow. Unfortunately, our regulatory design could not keep the pace with the opportunities. And in fact, I see that we could not grow as much because of this lacking system support. Now, obviously wealth is, you have given example, and which is so true, that nowhere the appreciation would have been as huge as what we have seen during last 10 years. Right. So post 2004, what we have seen in real estate is unimaginary. In fact, it started from 98 and it started with reforms. So now what changes at the regulatory end and developers end needed? I think developers with next generation coming in and all are kind of foreign educated or highly educated, they are looking forward to a change which is trying to aligning with the global trends. And in fact, our commercial buildings are almost at par with any global advanced country structure. And the technology used for building management systems or other security systems is absolutely at par. Therefore, Developers are getting there. Regulatory regime will have to really live up to it. Currently, it's disheartening. Rather, every day we wake up with a setback and not progress. So,
But how do you feel the consumption has changed in the market? You know, so you're right to say that, of course, the white collars coming in, that they're today far more pro, and they also have the capacity to buy. But what do you think has changed about the consumer in literal terms as a property buyer in the last few
the
years?
aspiration level has really gone up. Home is, of course, sign of security, and home is, of course, sign of arriving. So everybody is trying to do one notch better in terms of buying a home,
Right.
so that they feel that sense of arrival. And that has given booster to high quality or better quality homes demand in that segment. Fortunately, what was supposed to be luxury few years back is a necessity now.
Absolutely.
So that's the change.
Right.
And every day we come up with newer idea to, give that sense of arrival.
Right.
So I think if you ask me what has changed, the, the need has gone to the sense of arrival. And that's the difference.
Right.
And that is putting a lot of pressure on developers to perform better.
Right. So I think which is really the right thing to do, you know. At the end of the day, if the market changes, the industry which is going to serve that customer has to change along with it, which is what you rightly pointed out. And so the pressure in one sense is right. But before we come to that, I'll first go on to our friends from the broker community. Ravi, I'll start with you first. How do you think the brokerage business has changed in the last few years? Of course, I understand, you know, you coming from Cushman Wakefield, you find that it's probably a lot more corporatized than what it used to be and moving from more unorganized to organized as a segment. But do you think the opportunity for the broker as such has become bigger, or how it has evolved in the last few years according to you?
Sure. I guess to answer your question, if we just take a two-step back and we see the organized sector of real estate really started around the 95, 96 time frame, where Colliers with the joint venture partners of HDFC and ILFS, and at that time CBRE, were the first movers. But much before that, real estate broking as an industry was very widespread, very fragmented, very unorganized in some or the other sense. Unethical practices abound because of lack of statutory regulation or regulatory authorities, which till today we are grappling with challenges, because we're still looking at real estate regulatory bill currently being debated, deliberated. It's not yet passed, and we're already almost 2 decades down. So in my view, this sector, which was always unorganized, has come a very long way since almost 95, and we're almost 2 decades down. But in terms of regulation, there is far more to be achieved, and what we wanted to do almost 15 years ago, unfortunately, is not yet implemented. So on the negative side, I guess there's lots we can complain, but on the positive side, if you see real estate as an asset class, and just to go back to your example, and when we compare to all other asset classes, be it equity, be it bullion, real estate has always seen just one direction for investors, for actual users, and that's only way up. Within the real estate as a master asset class, when we look at the sub-markets of, let's say, residential or office, industrial, land, and now capital markets, which is a big play globally and in India as well. Each of these have evolved big time. And broking community has actually matured to a level where my local broker friends also participate many a times, given their very strong and deep relationships which they've had for so many years. And they participate in almost all these sub-asset classes, and we compete with them many a times. So for funding, there are these companies that compete with us. They have excellent relationship with, public sector banks for arranging funding. where VIPCs yet struggle. We do have our debt and equity cells. That's a very large area of future growth. Uh, Retail, with almost 3,000 brands currently looking at India, is just awaiting that stable policy from a stable government that FDI will be permitted. It's one thing to have such a policy on paper, it's another thing to have political will to permit you to do that business here. With changing regulations, that's taken a back seat. Unfortunately, we've seen companies like Carrefour and others really backing out bad time. Office, like Lalitji said, IT/ITES segment is the growth driver. And we've seen almost 75 to 80% of the demand being driven across these 7-8 regions into all prime cities. And almost $225 billion is the estimated NASSCOM IT BPM industry revenue, which will come by 2020. And an incremental 6 million jobs or employment will be generated by this. Now that's huge. Yeah. And you know the multiplier effect that will have again. So I think the broker community has evolved, has matured, and these are the various asset classes. And one can look at a small niche, specialize, residential you said, it's a great specialty. Primary sales is huge business. Right. You know, one example we hear, Kalpatrus just launched in Thane. Over 3-day period, 400 apartments sold. Now that's huge, you know. And even in this bad, stagnant sale market, when a primary stock like this sells so quickly, all you require is a good, reasonable price and a good, reputed developer to launch. So I think there's huge scope for our broker friends. And all these asset classes, you know, offer great opportunity, and one could specialize either in one, or if you would like to specialize in many, you could again use the help of technology and grow.
Yeah, I think that's the right point. But my point was that, you know, even if primary is giving huge opportunity, then maybe second, because that too is a big opportunity anyway for the market.